Sorry about that. Need to press record. Okay, everyone. Today, what we're going to do is in Edge, I'm going to go ahead and go through a purchase strategy. We're just going to review how to key in the basic data, do a FHA, so we'll be able to show you how to get that MI and upfront MI in there also. And then we'll compare it against the conventional. And if you want to be able to see another product that we want to compare against it, open up your chat box and let me know what kind of product you want me to key in. We could go ahead and show you that as well. Okay, the first place to start for those who are new on with Edge, just I want to point out the settings real quick. Go through your contact information. Just make sure your contact information is updated. MLS number, just make sure that ID is in front of your number itself, so on the report it will display correctly. Make sure your address is on there, as well as the images and your logo. If you're on an enterprise account, most likely your logo will automatically be in this area downloaded for you. So those are two areas I want to make sure that you're aware of. Make sure you update that information. And then I'm going to go back to my home screen. And to start this process off, I'm going to go ahead and press New Client. When you press a new client, that will start a whole new record for the report you're going to be creating. So once we're in this first screen here, you'll notice as we go through the screens, you'll see all the screens at the base here. We'll go left to right. Anything in red, we do need that field for our data input. So in the sense of first name, the reason why we need that, because we store a record by that name. So let's go ahead and put in a name here, and we'll just say Joe Smith. You'll notice you can put the middle name if you want. It's not necessary. So the way we're going to go through these screens is I'm going to put in the basic information that's needed. So this way I will show you how to go through it quicker through the report itself. As you're coming down, you can put in the phone number if you would like. It doesn't print on the report. Client or prospect, again, this is just for your own details. It doesn't do anything with the report. Own is going to provide you the total cost analysis. And if you want to do a rent versus own, you could do it on the same report and you could click on rent. Both these buttons, you would be able to do both reports with one record. So that's what's really nice about the this option here. So coming through, refer by if you want to capture it. Partner email, this is a great way if you're working with a partner. They want to see those email alerts. You'd be able to put their email address in there. And anytime your borrower opens up that link, they'll also receive the alert as well as you. Friendly name, always put the friendly name down here. It is just a descriptor, an identifier of that particular product. Works well if you're using our copy feature. This way you'll be able to know which product that you want to copy from. So you can either, like in this case, I'm just identifying it as a purchase transaction. You could put the property, street address, purchase refi, just anything that you want. It doesn't print on the report. Same with notes over in this section. It's again for your area. Put any kind of notes on the borrower. Again, it doesn't print on the report. It's just for your information only. Okay, as we move on to the screen here, we come to our goals section. Really the only two that you would really want to focus on is lower your interest rate, which means it's a refi, or purchase a new home, which is a purchase strategy. So I'm going to go ahead and keep it as a purchase and not as a lower interest rate and move on. You want to go ahead and key in that current property value here. What that does, it provides your loan to value ratio. So if you have an MI, this is where the cutoff will be. So I'm going to just place it at $250,000. You'll notice that all the other fields in here are black, so they're not necessary. Doing a refi, if you want to key in that monthly mortgage payment, you can. It's not necessary on the report. Original appraised value, if you're doing a refinance, go ahead and do that to be able to cut off the MI on that current mortgage to use with the appraised value on the original mortgage. And then the current payoff total, if you have a figure in here, this is what we figure your cash to close on. So just to let you know, if you're having, fill this in, this is what we're going to go ahead and do that cash to close. So as I advance the screen, we're going to move on. We have basic information here. Again, I'm just going to go ahead. There's nothing in red here, nothing absolutely necessary for the report. If you wanted to show the tax benefit, go ahead and put in a tax bracket. Go ahead and do that, and we'll print on the report and provide you that tax information. Don't know what the tax bracket is? Go ahead and click on Find a New Tax Bracket here. It'll open to a new screen, and you'll be able to find that information out. same more information just to be able to put in for yourself, just for more basic information. So now we're going to get to our product. So let's go ahead and key in an FHA loan. So I'm going to put in a product, my title. You want to keep your title to about 12 characters. So I'm just putting in FHA 30 years. If it was a refi, you go ahead and mark it like that. If you have product templates, which you can create in the settings up in this area, you could go ahead and pull in your product templates. So you can see all the different ones. I have an FHA 30-year 3.5% down. I'm going to go ahead and use my template to show you how quickly it is to create a report once you have all those templates in. You'll see my purchase price, the appraised value carried over. I have my down payment defaulted. So I went ahead and calculated out my down payment and then provided that base loan amount. Next, I want to go ahead and put in the interest rate for this particular file, and you see my term had already defaulted. So I'm done with my first screen, and let's advance to the next screen and be able to fill in the fees. Okay, let me check one item. If you guys have any questions, I don't see any in the box. If you do have any, go ahead and list them up there. Let me just open one in. Okay. So in the fees, you'll notice that once I came to the screen, my fees were already defaulted here. I linked together my fee template as well as my product template, and that went ahead and populated this information down. You'll notice my upfront MI is down at the base here. I went ahead and in my template put the 1.75, and I also defaulted it to add it to my loan amount. So this information is already keyed in for me through that template. Now if I go into my closing costs detail, you'll see that my fee template went ahead and populated down. At this point, I would go in and change any item that would be different for this particular loan. One items that definitely change are your reserves. You would want to go ahead and update it. Usually in my templates, I go ahead and I put in empties in this field here, so that way I always know to come in and I'm not accidentally using numbers from a previous report. So anything that's a variable in your templates, I would just go ahead and leave empty. In just a moment, let me check my questions here. Okay, I got 3 questions on templates. Okay, Jim, Eric, and Gretchen. Jim is asking, is it simple to create templates? Yes, it is. And what I'll do is once we finish these 2 items, I'll show you where it is in our settings. And Eric, that would also show you how to be able to create the template. And same with you, Gretchen. I'll show you real quick how to do it. There's a couple different ways to do it. I'll do it through our products, and then I'll show you through our settings how you'll be able to do that. So let's finish up this product, and we'll go through and we'll show you how you'll be able to do those settings as well as the fee templates. Actually, we'll take the first stab at it here. What I'm going to do is I'm removing my variable items. So I have my hazard, my taxes, and my lender's title insurance is also variable. So this is how I want to be able to use my fee template. What you would do is get a fee cost sheet, be able to have all your fees for that particular product, and you would just go ahead and add your fees based on that cost sheet. If you'll notice over on the right hand side we have add a fee. If I click on that, you'll see that the fee, I have another line item, and there's drop downs that follow the different descriptions based on a HUD-1. So say if I want a processing fee, I type the letter P, it drops me to the P's in the list, and I'd be able to choose my description. If those descriptions don't match what you want, we also have an add custom fee. By clicking on that button, it allows you to put in your fee description, identify it, default to prepaid, this is an escrowed item, or if it's an APR item, you'll be able to mark it here. So you do have a way to use our fees in the drop-down or create your own custom fees in this area here. When you're done with this area, I'm going to go ahead and press delete for the fee I was working with. Now that I'm done making it generic, I now want to save it as a template. So you'll see over in this area, once you create it for the report, you can actually save it and even edit it in the settings and be able to use it for future use. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this in so you'll be able to see the difference in my list. So this is our Q&A Thursday, and I'll press OK. And you'll notice now in my templates, for my feed templates, I have my template that I just created stored in that drop-down list. So now I want to go ahead and update my information here. I'm going to put in my title insurance, my hazard, and then my tax reserves here. Liliette is asking for a purchase, and on the templates, how do you know what fees are for each scenario? As for a purchase, it's exactly unknown. When we set these fee templates up for various enterprise accounts or assisting with other people, basically we always ask for a fee sheet. If you do a fee sheet in your LOS system and identify it as a purchase, it will be able to provide you most of the fees that will be standard from loan to loan. Those that you know are changing, like I was saying, for the lender's title, just leave those empty for your template so they would be able to populate or you'd be able to fill that in when you pull the template down for your next loan. And no, Michael, there's no way to import fee templates from a LOS system currently, so you would have to do this manually. And we do have a copy function once we go into the settings that you'd be able to use. And I'll be able to show you that. Actually, once you have one set up, it goes really quick. Oh, Stephanie, I just changed the lender's title, not the owner's title. The only reason is because I just pulled down the list. It has nothing to do with it, but you're correct. You should also have an owner's title and leave that empty and then update it as you come through. Thank you, Stephanie, on that one. So after you're done, I don't see any more questions on the fees. Always remember to make sure your fee is marked as an API or APR item. Again, this is on your fee sheet. If you're doing refinances, want to add that fee to the loan amount, you have that column here. And then you'll notice our PPE, which is our prepaid escrow column. And any escrows go ahead and get marked. And what we do is we exclude it from the cost of the loan in the short-term savings. Okay, after I'm done, what I'm going to do is now apply it to loan. So any changes I made to those fees, now I'm going to go ahead and apply it to this particular loan here. It then goes ahead and totals all the APR fees, non-APR fees, prepaid escrows, and populates that information down in this area here. I also have a field in the settings to provide per diem interest, and we'll show you that also. As I advance my screen, now we're in our monthly costs, and this is where you go ahead and put your hazards in. You'll notice again, the screen, I have all the defaults filled in, my dollar figures. What I had done in my settings, I went ahead and populated an estimate that is used in California. We estimate a hazard at 0.35, taxes at 0.1 or 1.25. So once I default that in there, when I come in, it's automatically calculated for me. I don't have to key anything in. So it makes it really quick if you're able to do that. Mortgage insurance, again, an FHA loan, 1.35 for 3.5% down. You'll see that it went ahead and calculated it for me. As well as identifying on FHA loans, you have to calculate the MI on the balance. You want to make sure that box is marked. As well as you have to take the MI for the life of the loan. So for doing that, I have 360 months in my MI cutoff month, and I have that information here. You can, because it goes for the life of the loan, the system will never look at the 78%. If you want to remove it, that's fine. Keeping it in there is fine too. Okay, so now that we're done with our first product, we want to go ahead and set up a conventional product. So to do it, it's our second product. We want to click on this button here, add another product. And then let's just go ahead and put in conventional 30-year. So what I could do is I have a button over here. I can either use my conventionals information in this area here. If I have a template for conventional, I could go ahead and pull it. But in this case, I want to show you another way of doing a copy. The copy from allows you to copy from a previous product that you've already keyed in. You'll see my FHA 30-year. I'm going to go ahead and pull that information over, and I'm going to change it into a conventional product. So you'll see that it went ahead and brought over my information. What I want to do here is indicate no. What this will do is remove my upfront MI when we come to our fee screens. I want to change my down payment to 5%, and you'll see that it goes ahead and recalculates. And then I'm going to go ahead and put in a different interest rate in that area. So I've taken all that information, copied it down. I'm advancing the screen. And all the fees that I've modified for the FHA loan are now brought over here. So if you need to change any fees from conventional from FHA to conventional, you would just update it. But the one thing, by copying it from a previous product, you have all those reserves that you entered once in. They're already keyed in. Same with your title insurance and owner's insurance. So it is a quicker way of doing it, copy from one product to another. Make any adjustments that you need to do from the difference in fees from FHA to conventional. And John, what a PPE represents is a prepaid escrow item. You'll see the legend down here. And on a report, if anything is marked a PPE, we do exclude it from the short-term savings. And the reason for that is the escrow is not really the cost of the loan. It's more of a maintenance cost that you have to have. So that's what the PPE represents. Once you're done making any changes to your fee, going from an FHA to conventional, then just go ahead, apply it to the loan. You'll notice I no longer have my upfront MI down at the base here. That's been removed by changing that toggle from yes to no. And then when I advance my screen, it did carry over my information for FHA, for the MI, and I'm just going to go ahead and modify it. And you would just go ahead and increase it to whatever MI factor you would have for that conventional. You definitely want to keep that 78 in there. That's where it's going to cut off, and you'll have no more MI. I'm going to remove calculate MI on balance. Conventionals don't have that. And remove my 360. And then I'm done with my conventional product. So by doing that, I was able to show you how to do templates and then also copy from a previous product. So both processes will let you go quicker through and create it. In just a moment. Okay, so now that you can continue, you can add 2 more products, but I'm going to keep it at 2, so that way Jacob will be able to show you your open house flyers. We have the short-term analysis summary. Short-term is the lower left-hand side. We're going to show it for 5 years. Long-term, we're going to show for 15. We also have our adjust reinvestment strategy in this area. If you want to learn more details about it, we do have a great video tutorial, but you would be able to reinvest MI by going through here and be able to either do a lump sum payment or reinvest MI, or just do a little adding amounts toward principal maybe for a certain period of time. So there's a lot you could do with the reinvestment strategy, or just go ahead and apply the savings here. So if I put in the 56, 57, you'll notice that my freedom point, instead of 30 years, I'll have that loan paid off in a little more than 27 years. So we do have the reinvestment strategy screen here that you'd be able to work with. And if you want more information, really go into it, just go ahead and email us at support and we'll be able to help you with that. Advancing the screen here, you have the information for a co-borrower's name here. If you have one, it will go ahead and print along with the borrower that we keyed in our client section. Address, if you want to appear it or put in to be determined. If you don't know it, you can go ahead. It'll appear right below their names on the report. Advancing, we're doing our total cost analysis here. If you want to check out an amortization schedule, we do have that option. Payment notes, this lower section here, you might, if you're on an enterprise account, they might have some information here that you would want to adjust maybe, or be able to just put in, I always put in estimate taxes and insurance. Okay, so what I had done is I went ahead and put in the phrase, estimated taxes and insurance are included in your payment. These payment notes are for more compliance purposes. We put 2 asterisks next to the payment and put this information below. So I'll show you that on the report where this will populate through. Now we have our last 3 screens here, and it's just to be able to modify this area in this lower section, which is behind your more info buttons. And then we come to our very last screen here, and you also want to be able to put a quote date on these reports. So I'm going to go ahead and put today's date, and let's go ahead and preview our report and take a look at it. So you'll see on our report we have our purchase strategy here, our conventional. You click on the payment stream, you'll be able to see how the payment is declining because we have that mortgage insurance that we have for the FHA loans. We also have the structure here for the conventional. You'll see that only 114 years or months that they carry the MI here. So we do have that MI in the payment stream here you'll be able to see. as well as the information behind the more info buttons. We have the payment breakdown, so you'll be able to see the taxes, insurance, different mortgage insurance information there. You have your closing costs where it lumps together all the APR, non-APRs. But if you want that fee details, we also have that as well. You'll be able to show that and work with that with your borrower, as well as the reinvestment strategy here. So you'll see that information that I went ahead and put in that reduction of payment, and you have your new freedom point. And what I'm doing with the highlighting, you'll notice that I've just able to click and the field becomes highlighted. You just hover over the field and left click and it highlights. If you do it again, it removes that highlight. That's how you highlight on a report. Also, to show you with highlighting, you could go ahead and highlight a whole column by clicking on the title itself, and it will go ahead and highlight that column. Okay, to show you where that payment, here's the double ashes here, and here's the text, those payment notes that will tell me that the taxes and insurance are included in that payment, as well as you go into that payment breakdown, you'll be able to really be able to show them there. Okay, Eric is asking a question. I'm not quite sure what you're asking for about disclosure language needed for illustrating APR. We do have disclaimer text down at the base here that you'll be able to modify in your settings. You can add information in that area, as well as an extended disclaimer that you'll be able to add some more information. Okay, and David, I'll show you in a moment about video tutorials. So to be able to go over this, let me we'll go back to Edge. To generate a link here, this is the link that you would send to the borrower. You would just copy it and you would send them the link, and just to be able to show you here. So if they clicked on that link, see how the report goes ahead and opens up. You'll notice the difference of the report. On your report, there's a clear all button down at the bottom. If I click on that, it clears out all my highlights. The report with the borrower doesn't have that clear all button, and so they won't be able to do any kind of edit or touching or any kind of highlighting there. You'll also be able to add a video by going ahead and clicking on that button here. In the right-hand corner, you have the record message button. You would allow, and then to be able to use, hi everyone, you go ahead for the recording. Just make sure you have eye contact with the camera. It is a lot of times what I'll do is put a sticky over the camera itself. It just helps me just be able to focus more on the camera. Some people have their script, put it behind the camera, be able to read from the script that way. Whatever works with you. If you want a little more pointers, just go ahead and email us at support. We'll be able to help you with that aspect. Okay, I'll also just show you real quick. Here's the record button. The play, you have the stop. If you want to remove that, go ahead and press the trash can. It removes the video from the report. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and close it out real quick, and let's go to the settings, and then I'll go ahead and pass the call over to Jacob. To go into our settings, these are where our defaults are. We talked about the contact images. Here's where you create the product templates. It's quite simple. You'll be able to put in a template name. There's no limit on ID here. You'll also be able to go ahead and put in your down payment, per diem interest if you have an estimate there. You can put in the rate. That tends to change. I leave that empty when I create the templates. I have in my term. You'll see that I marked it yes as FHA. Here's my upfront. MI that I went ahead and keyed in. You'll have that monthly cost button over here where you can go ahead and put in estimates of your taxes and insurance. Make sure you default your MI for those upfront or for those FHA loans. And then you can also tie it in with your fee templates. So if you create a fee template, you'll be able to take it and then apply it to your template. So that's what on my FHA loan, I had not only my products but my fees carry over. And this is how I did it with these two items here. If I look at my fee templates, you'll see this is the one I created today, and I would be able to now go in and modify it if I had mistaken, and actually maybe that should be empty, or any numbers that I would want to modify. This is where I do the edit for my fee templates. If I created a custom fee, you'll notice there's a button over here that says fees. You could go ahead, if you spelled it wrong, modify the spelling, indicate it if you forgot to mark it as an APR or prepaid default. You'd be able to edit or even delete those items over here. And then once you have one created, you see the button where it says Save As. This is our copy button. So if you put in the new name of your template and then press Save, it will go ahead and save that template, and then allow you for a new template. So you could go ahead and then create the new template and change those fees. So it's a really quick fee. Once you have one created, you just do this copy through the Save As feature, and you'll be able to make the other fee templates rather quickly. And for that disclaimer text that I believe it was Eric I was talking to, and the report templates, this is where you can modify any of that text. Here's the disclaimer text that prints at the base of the report down in this area here. You could go ahead and modify it in Edge during the spot right here. Extended disclaimer. In this button, you could go ahead and put more licensing or any other additional information you would like to do in that location. And what that will do is place a More button in the lower right-hand corner of your report. And then it will go ahead, and once you click on it, it would provide that information. It'll also print any of that information on that More button. It will go ahead and place it on an additional page right below page 4 on the report. So you'll be able to have that information. Okay. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and transfer it over to Jacob, and he'll go ahead and take over from now.
All right, thanks, Lori. All right, here we come.
Muted.
Okay, so I see there's a couple of questions still in the box. I want to try and address those real quick before we move along. Let's see here. Michael's question, he said, is there a way to import the templates from Calyx? There isn't a way to import the templates. However, I actually did a video to show you how you can take a fee worksheet and start creating your templates out of it. So anytime you're in Edge, if you hit Help, this takes you over to our knowledge base. Now, this actually goes along with Dave's question. He had asked where the video tutorials are. The video tutorials are all in our knowledge base, and when you get there, you'll see a screen that looks something like this, and you can see all of our walkthrough videos. These are the very basic ones here on the left, and then we've got advanced topics, so things like if you want to learn how to create a borrower-paid versus lender-paid MI presentation. When you click on any of these, it's going to open up a new page, and it actually has a link to the YouTube video. Now, if your browser doesn't have security settings that prohibit, embedded videos, you'll actually see the video here on the page, and you can play it directly here. But we've included both just in case, because we know a lot of IT departments do restrict embedded videos. But any one of these topics usually has a video on it, and it has a little bit of text describing what this is showing you. If there's no video on it, it's usually because it's just a simple text item, a text answer. But you can always troll through the knowledge base to find whatever you're looking for by simply typing in a keyword for your search. So for instance, if I wanted to find everything about MI, I can type MI, hit search, and there's frequently asked questions in here. It pulls from everything, whether it be advanced topics, frequently asked questions, or even basic topics. And you'll notice that when I do this search, it includes a bunch of different results. So just about anything I can imagine that includes MI in one of our articles here, you'll be able to find it by simply doing a keyword search. Now, the other part of this that I want to make you guys all aware of is there's some new features inside our knowledge base. So anytime we post new videos, we always post them in here. So for instance, if we go to our walkthrough videos, you can click on the title, and it'll show you all of the videos that are included in there. So if you wanted to learn how to do a purchase total cost analysis, what we were just covering, you can click on this. It's about a 10 to 15 minute video, and it shows you all the nuts and bolts to get that going. If you wanted to do a refi, there's one here as well. Now there's more advanced topics, obviously. So if we were to go into advanced, you can see we show everything from how to customize your reinvestment strategies. This is really important for reinvesting MI after it drops off. If you wanted to learn how to show a credited contribution in Edge, how to enter an existing HELOC, these are very common questions that we get coming to our support box, so we've created videos for just about all of these. So feel free to look here, and if you can't find what you're looking for, you can always after you do your search, you can actually submit a ticket. So when you submit a ticket through here, it goes directly to our support system. We can even respond with a video for you. After the call, I'd like everybody to watch this video here at the top. It's how to get help. This shows you all the nuts and bolts of the knowledge base so that you can understand how it works, how to search for things. And in fact, you can even log into the knowledge base so that you can comment on other people's suggestions. So for instance, there's 6 of them in here in the suggest new features. If you ever wanted to suggest one, all you have to do is log into the knowledge base and you can actually suggest one here. All right, so let's get to a couple of the other questions before we continue here. Alicia had asked, for the rent versus buy, can we build in an estimate for the cost of the home maintenance in the buy scenario? You can, and I'll show you how to do that. This won't be a rent versus own, but this works for any product that you have. In our monthly escrow screen, you can actually apply additional figures. So for instance, this other category here, if there's a maintenance cost, say we'll call it maintenance, and that's $150 a month. You can build that in, and it'll show up on your report as part of the pity payment. So hopefully that helps. One other thing you can do for this, a lot of people use this for offsets. So for instance, if there was an energy efficiency savings, you can actually do a negative number here, and it'll subtract from the pity payment. So you can do this with just about any kind of a negative that you wanted to apply to the payment. Some people use this to apply the MCC difference if you're using the mortgage credit certificate. Perfectly acceptable. But yeah, you've got a couple of options here. You can make any of these fees negative, and you can actually overwrite the label here on the other one. All right, let's see what else we got real quick here. Oliver's question, on the presentation, is the payment shown P&I or pity payment? On the disclosure below the report, how can I notate if the payment shown is P&I or pity? So it depends on what you enter here. You can see on this particular presentation, I didn't include any taxes and insurance, so it's just going to show a P&I payment. Had I included these, it's going to show pity payments. So just make sure to keep it uniform across your entire presentation. So if you're going to include it on one product, make sure to include it on all of them. Now, in terms of where to notate that, that's actually the payment notes field. So once you choose a total cost analysis, your payment notes is where you're going to notate whether it's P&I or pity payment or what. And you can see that I've got a good chunk of verbiage here that I like to use for just about everything I do. In this case, I did not include taxes and insurance. You'll find that there's a couple of organizations that have pre-populated payment notes for you, but they need to be edited. So it'll say payment does or does not. You got to select which one it is, so you can erase part of the text to make it work for what you need. All right, let's see here. Liliette's question, do we need a separate camera other than the one built into the computer? As long as your camera works on the computer, Liliette, you can use that one. It's certainly acceptable. I will tell you that if you're on a laptop and the camera is built in, I know it seems kind of basic, but if you put your laptop on a dock, you're not going to be able to use the webcam. So just keep that in mind. If you do work with a laptop on a dock, you probably want to get an external camera and just plug it in via USB port. That said, you can definitely use the internal camera on your laptop if you need to. Let me show you what that looks like. I've got it on a dock right now, so it's not going to do anything. But if we go to settings, we can select which camera we want. You can see I've got 2 of them here. I've got my Logitech camera that's actually a USB plug-in, and then I've got the integrated webcam, which is the one built into my laptop. So I don't select the integrated because I'm on a dock. However, if I was using my laptop with the screen open, I could certainly use this integrated webcam. All right. Angela's question, when working with down payment assistance grants, how could I input the information so that it's not included in the loan but demonstrated positively as being deducted from the obligation? Perhaps this question would apply to a gift as well. All right, so what you can do is on any of your closing cost details, Lori showed you how to create a custom fee, and what you would do is call it something like down payment assistance. And then it's not going to be APR. I would default it as a prepaid item so it doesn't incorporate into that short-term savings area. And then hit OK. And then what you're going to do is, however much this down payment assistance is, you're going to make it a negative number. So say negative $10,000. And you're going to leave it as borrower paid. And what this does is it actually just subtracts that $10,000 from the cash to close. So that's your effective down payment assistance. So your cash to close will show the the cumulative cash to close based on any fees that were not rolled into the loan amount. So hopefully that helps, Angela. You can use these fields as negatives for just about anything. So down payment assistance, the CHAFA loans and such. You can even use it for earnest money. I've actually already created a custom fee, I think, in this account. We'll see. Yeah, there we go. So earnest money, I could put in, negative $5,000, and that accounts for the money that the borrower's already brought to the table. So they won't be responsible for that at close. Lily, second question, do we need a special microphone to use when creating videos? You know what, if you've got one built into your computer, and you probably do, you can use that one, and feel free to. I mean, you really don't need to get too high tech with the video camera or the microphone. It doesn't have to be perfect because it's going to be a streaming video, which means it's really, really small. So if you go and overdo it and spend $200 on a webcam and get this super duper mic that Dave Savage uses, it's way overkill. You don't need that much. It's actually going to cause your video to slow down a little bit because it's having to capture so much information. So my recommendations are, if you are going to buy a webcam, don't spend over about 35 bucks. It already has a microphone built into the webcam when you buy them today. I don't think any of them come without a microphone anymore. But if you need suggestions on which ones we tested over here and which ones work great and they're cheap, send us a note over at support. We'll shoot you some links to a few of them on Amazon so you can check them out. Will had a comment here. He says lighting is key more so as webcams have good quality. So as Will's saying, all the cams are basically going to record about the same. So one of the factors you need to consider is what your lighting looks like in your office. So if you have really heavy flood lighting over your head, you're going to find you come out a little bit pale. If that's the case, the workaround for that is, and I wish I could show you this, but you want to shield your webcam just a little bit, almost like putting on a hat, so it's got a visor over the top of the webcam. That's going to stop the overhead light from getting down into the webcam. So it'll darken everything up and it'll be nice and clear for you. And you only need a little bit of a shadow over the top of it, and it'll work fine. And you can use a sticky note for that, and we found it to be very effective. All right, let's see here. Gail's question, on an ARM product, can you show how to do a custom adjustment at the scenario tab? Yes. So let's make this an ARM real quick. All right, so you have all these caps that you can put in here, and some of them, I mean, they're all in red, so they're required. You want to put them in there. But if we're going to do a custom adjustment, let's say this is a 525 loan. So I'm going to have 5, 2 is my periodic cap, and my max rate is going to be 5 plus my start rate. So my start rate on this loan is 5 1/8, so this is going to be 10 1/8. Now, first adjustment month, this varies on how long your arm is. So if you've got a 5/1 arm, this first adjustment month is going to be 60. If it's a 7/1, you're going to use 84. Let's assume this one's a 5/1, so we'll use month 60. And adjustment months tells Edge how often this is supposed to adjust. So if you're using the 6-month LIBOR, it's going to adjust every 6 months. If you're using the 1-year LIBOR, it's going to adjust every year. So you want to enter it in terms of months. I will do 12 months. Now the margin you can pull from your rate sheet. It's usually going to be 2 1/4. And then we'll select the appropriate index. So I chose the 1-year LIBOR. Now floor rate is not required, but you can put it in there if you'd like. By choosing worst case scenario, it's going to adjust upward anyway, so it'll never get to the floor. But the question from Gail was, how do we do the custom scenario? So if we choose custom down here, this gives you the adjustments, and you can see I actually should have chosen month 61 on this. So you always want to choose the month after your fixed period ends. And let's edit custom, and this one's actually going to be month 61. Now, if we want to schedule smaller adjustments, if we choose worst case, it's going to adjust up 5% on the first adjustment point, and it's going to stay there for the life of the loan. So not a realistic option on this one, and it's going to produce a really high APR. So I would suggest use some smaller adjustments initially. Maybe on the first adjustment, you can see we're starting with a rate of 2.827. So let's say it, our start rate was 5 1/8, but this is the fully indexed rate. So let's assume it's going to go up just slightly. So I'm going to put in maybe a 3% adjustment here. And you can see that brings our rate to 5.827. Now you can space out these adjustments as far apart as you want. They don't have to be every year. Remember, this is all just a guess. It's all a prediction at what this could potentially do. Now, if you want absolute worst case scenario, it would adjust up that 5% and just hit the life cap right away. But if I wanted to space these out a little bit, let's say maybe at month 96, I want to see a 1/4 point increase. And then maybe at month 20, I want to see it go down a little bit. You can do a negative 1/2 point and bring it down. And you can kind of get this sine wave effect of what the rates have done over historical periods. And if you guys want a quick link to find what the historic rates have been for the different indices, send us a note over at support. We can shoot you a link over to a page called Mortgage X. It has all of the historic rates. It's really good. Definitely recommend it. But if you need a link to that, just shoot us a note and we'll get it to you. But usually I like to space out these last ones pretty far. So let's say at month 180, I'm going to bring it up another 2%. And then at month, let's say 200, I want it to get up close to the life cap. So I'm going to do another 2% here. Now you can leave it alone at that point. It is going to get really close to the life cap and we should be okay. If you want to make this a little bit higher, it'll hit the life cap and just stop. So even if I put in 5%, it's still going to back out at the life cap. So it won't go any higher than that. Eric's question, are you sure that the initial adjustment would be that? I thought you had an adjustment cap at 2%. So my 2% is actually the periodic cap. So that's the max that can adjust per period. The first adjustment cap is what determines that first one. So if it adjusts up 5% on that first one, it hits the life cap. It'll never actually incorporate the periodic caps. But if on the first adjustment it doesn't hit the life cap yet, say it only adjusts up 1%, every 12 months it's going to continue to adjust up 2% if you choose that worst case scenario. Now we've chosen a custom scenario, so these don't come into play quite so much. But again, it's a little more work to do the custom scenario, completely up to you. If you want, you can just load these in exactly as they are and choose worst case and it'll go straight to the life cap. So it is going to result in a very high APR. So if you're going to show that one, you might want to show a best case option next to it. So this one would be a custom. I could show a worst case right next to it so that I'm making sure that my client is aware of the potential of what the payment stream could do, especially on an ARM. Now that we show the payment stream on our reports, I would recommend anytime you show an ARM, show 2 variations of it. Show one that's a worst case and one that's a predicted case, something like that. You can even show best case. Best case is actually going to match your TIL in terms of APR because your TIL doesn't project any future adjustments at all. It just goes off the fully indexed rate. So if you want to be able to match APR, you can show a best and a worst next to each other. And it's a good way to show the client because they can see the potential payment stream difference, and it's pretty noticeable on this kind of a loan. All right, so let's see what else we've got. Oliver's question, can I use my photo and just audio instead of a video recording, only on my bad hair days? Actually, it depends on the software you have, Oliver. Some Logitech cameras have a software that comes with it that allows you to put an image over the video, so it doesn't record you, it just records the video. But that said, if you don't have that kind of software, when you go to record a video, you can choose audio only, and it'll just show, matter of fact, let me see if I can show you what that looks like. All right, so once this comes up here, when you want to record your message, if you're not having a great day, you can always choose record audio only. And you can see it froze my face there, but that's not actually what's going to show up on the final presentation. You see it just blanked it out, but it's going to show a picture of a microphone on the final presentation, so they'll just hear you talking. So it's perfectly acceptable to do an audio only, and you won't have yourself on the image here. Eric's question, is it possible to use a round number for closing costs? When doing rough closing cost numbers, I use 2.5% of the sales price. Can we just enter that, or must all closing cost fields be used? You can do it either way, Eric. We give you the option to do both. So let's go into our FHA product here real quick. And I'm going to change this back to a fixed because I was actually using this presentation for a compliance discussion. All right. So when you get into your closing costs, you can, if you want, just enter the ballpark figures in here, or you can itemize them with a single line item if you really wanted to do that. The reason we give you the option to do the full itemization is so you can get your APR spot on. But that said, you can certainly do ballparks if you want. You would basically just create a single custom fee and call it APR fees, and then just make it a ballpark number, mark the APR, create another one, call it non-APR fees, put the number in, leave the checkbox open, and then one for prepaid escrows, and then mark the PPE box over here. But yeah, you can actually put in a percentage right here. So if you needed to, if you were just assuming 2.5%, you could create a custom fee, call it 2.5% right here, and then it would calculate that figure out for you for the APR costs. All right, let's see what else we've got here. All right, it looks like I've got almost done. Brian has a question. He says, once you've done the closing cost details, can you revert back to the general numbers and not use the details you previously entered? Absolutely. What you would do is you would actually just keep hitting these trash cans, delete all the line items in this detail section, and then hit apply to loan. And what it'll do is it'll open this area back up so you can do just general, if you wanted to just put a ballpark figure in for APR, you could do that. But you would have to delete all the line items in the closing cost detail to be able to use that. All right, so I do have a specific request from one of our members that came across the other day. Get rid of this real quick here. Janice had asked last night. She's got a really tough presentation where she's got somebody that's in MI right now, and they have the option to refi out of MI. And so she sent me a note about it, and I wanted to show you guys what that looks like and kind of work through it so we can all see. So I'm actually impersonating Janet's account right now. And we'll show you what she's done, and hopefully you guys can learn a little bit from this one. So this is just a single, actually it has a co-borrower as well, but that's listed in a different area. It is an owner. Now, I would recommend putting a friendly name here. It's always good to be able to identify the report, especially for borrowers that may have multiple properties. So usually I put the property address in right here for the friendly name. And then when we get to the current monthly area, she's done this really well. So I want you guys to make note of this. The current property value is $470, but the original appraised value was only $370. Now, the reason this original appraised value field is so important is because your LTV cutoffs on the current mortgage are going to be based on this original value instead of what the current value is. So very, very important, if you're doing a current mortgage with MI, make sure you include the original appraised value so that LTV cutoff is right. Now, the payoff amount field, what this is for is if you don't put in anything in the payoff amount field, Edge is going to use the current balance for your current mortgage as your payoff, which is perfectly acceptable. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you know for a fact what the payoff amount is, or you want to include other debt to pay off, you can put it right here, and Edge will use this to generate the cash to close payoff. Okay, so now mortgage details, pretty straightforward here. This was taken out fairly recently, 7 months ago. They haven't been able to pay a whole lot on it yet, so you can see what their remaining balance is here. But when we get to the escrows, there's something I want to show you. Mortgage insurance, because this was a conventional loan, this is just a set figure. It's not going to decline over time. However, for all conventional loans, you never want to put a cutoff month. Instead, you want to let Edge rely on the LTV cutoff, because it's going to base this 78% on that original appraised value you had. So rather than the 16 months we thought it might have been, this is actually going to result in 99 months in the future. So this MI is going to carry for much longer now that I've used the 78% mark. Now, the other thing is if you do want to show tax benefit on these presentations, include a tax bracket right here. And for this particular case, the person is filing jointly. So you want to, for the current gross income, you want to actually put the combined income for both borrowers. And then if you want to find the tax bracket, hit Find Tax Bracket. So open up a new window for you, and then you can select Married Filing Jointly. And then you just look for the range that is their combined income. So if it was something in here, it's going to be around 28%. So I'm going to jump back over to Edge, pop in 28%, and this will automatically figure out the tax benefit based on 28% for me. On the next screen, the second affordability screen, I usually end up skipping this. This is more of an interview spot for you. Now you can see by refining out of this loan, their current loan is at a very low rate, and in order to refi, they're going to have to take some pretty high rates here, everything from 4.75 to 5 1/8. And these ones are obviously going to result in more interest paid. But the good thing about this is with the new appraised value, we're going to be able to get out of the MI. So if the MI is gone, we need to be able to make sure that we're not paying so much interest by this higher rate that it's overcoming the MI savings. So we'll show you that in just a minute here, but I do want to just go over some of the data entry in these new products. Okay, so in the closing costs, she's done this really well. She's applied all of her line items here, and you can see that she's got them all tagged appropriately. Now, as Lori showed you earlier, anytime you finish one of these closing cost details, you can hit Save as Template here, and it's automatically saved as a template, so that you can pull it back in for any future presentation, make minor modifications, and just you're ready to go. Now let's check out the analysis and see what this looks like. Now you can see that our current mortgage, obviously with the lower rate, it's still showing a cost savings versus this 5 1/8. But you never want to see a cost savings on the current mortgage. So in order to change that, we can change the benchmarked loan. So we want everything to refer to the current. So you can see that these ones are showing negative savings because they cost a little bit more. Now at 4.75, you are actually showing them a monthly savings of $22. Now in this case, you can see that even in the long term, and let's change our short-term default as well. You can see that over the short term here, the current mortgage is winning out on all of these mortgages. So we're not saving enough by losing the MI to overcome the increased rate that we're using on this one. So the question becomes, what kind of a loan would actually benefit this borrower? How low would that rate need to be to show a benefit here in the short-term area? So I'm going to go back to this 4.75 loan, and I'm going to find out. And this is kind of one of those hit or miss things. So I will start at 4% and see what it looks like. So I'm just going to adjust the rate, and then I'm going to jump straight over to the analysis screen again and check it out. So as you can see, by just bringing it down 3/4 of a point, I'm now showing them a pretty significant savings here. So then the question becomes, what do we need to do to get that down 3/4 of a point? And now you can look at your rate sheets. You can find out exactly how much you can buy down that rate, and you charge points to buy down that rate for your borrower, because this is going to be a good option for them. You know, if we keep them at just the standard rate without any kind of a buyout, they're going to pay more over time, and the long term will reflect it as well. Had I cycled these between principal paid, net worth, and total interest in MI, none of these new options would look good compared to the current mortgage. Now the other thing that's part of this, this particular scenario is now that I've made that rate lower, I need to make sure and charge points for that. So let's say to buy it down 3/4 of a point, it's going to cost my borrower 2 points. So I will go straight back over to my closing costs area, and I'm going to apply those 2 points right here. Now one thing that's kind of cool about this is if you want to know what those points are valued at, just hover your mouse over them, and it'll tell you exactly what they're valued at. Now those 2 points, remember I had about a $7,000 savings. Because of those 2 points, it's going to X out that savings almost completely because it's about the same amount here. But going forward after that point, that's when we start gaining. So we're looking at a 60-month return on this new loan. But there's a couple of other factors in this one. One other thing Janice had told me is that the property tax is going to be reassessed soon. So for right now, it's going to cost them $50 more. But after it gets reassessed, it's going to be dropping down by the $50. So we should show a reinvestment for that amount of money. The way to do it is back in our analysis screen. We're going to go back into the reinvestment strategy. And now on this guy here, we've already got $177 that we can reinvest into it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to customize this. I'm going to double click on this field, and you can see it brings up another grid for me. So at month 1, I have $178 to put back in there. Now after 6 months, once this gets reassessed, I'm going to have an extra $50 that I was paying in property taxes I'm not going to have to pay anymore. So I'm going to increase this amount by $50. So what I'll do is I'll add a line item, put it for month 7, and make this for $228. Now this assumes that from months 1 to month 6, it's going to reassign this 178 straight back into principal. After that point, it's going to put this 228 back into principal every month until the loan is paid off. Now watch what happens. Now you can see our new payoff point is now 24 years, so this is a great argument for doing this loan. They were going to pay off their current loan in 29.5 years, and they had MI carrying for 99 months. On this new loan, we're showing them a way to use the exact same amount that they were paying to pay off the loan 5 years faster without MI. So pretty solid representation here. You may not be able to buy down the rate as much as I've shown here, but if you can get even a 1/4 point, maybe a 1/2 point to buy down, it's definitely going to help with the overall on this. All right, so that hopefully, Janice, hopefully that helps you there. This is in your report, so feel free to make edits as you see fit. You guys remember I told you that that $7,000 savings was going to be pretty much wiped out because of the closing costs. There it is right there. But the good thing is they're breaking even here, and after that point, they're going to start saving. So if we move this out to something like 84, and wait for it to update, there we go. So at month 84, they've saved $8,000 in interest in MI. So this is pretty critical. You want to make sure and choose an appropriate point to isolate for your borrower, because at month 36, they're still in the red here. They haven't overcome what they needed to. All right, so it looks like we're just about done here. If you guys have any more questions that you'd like me to address real quick, let me know, and I'd be happy to do that. Shivani's question, she says, I noticed that if I don't use the MI cutoff month, it must be using the current appraised value because it won't show the MI in the current payment. What am I doing wrong? So great question. So this actually kind of goes back to what we talked about in the assumptions area, and that's that you need to make sure and put in the original appraised value. So this is the field that's actually going to affect your LTV cutoff on the current mortgage. So you've got to make sure that you put in the original appraised value, and it'll automatically apply that for you. Now, if even with this original appraised value, your loan to value is below 78, it's not going to apply it. So just keep that in mind. If it is in fact below 78 in reference to the original value, they probably shouldn't be responsible for MI anymore, and you may want to talk to them about applying to get out. But all that said, if we just use the current property value, it's going to base it on the wrong value. So it won't do that for you correctly. So just make sure you always enter this original appraised value. That should solve the problem. All right, let's see here. Jim is asking if I can take a quick look at one of his refi TCAs. Absolutely, Jim. Send that over to support. Just send me a link to it. I can do the same thing like I'm doing in Janice's account here, where I can impersonate your account and check on your data. So if you send me the link, I'll know what to check on. Give me a couple of notes on what you feel is causing a problem, and I'll be happy to take a look at it for you. So Janice's question, can we get them out of MI after 24 months, being we already know the value is there? So that actually depends on the MI carrier. So you'd need to contact whoever it is, whether it's Radian or UG or whatnot, and find out what the application process is. Find out if it does require a reappraisal, because it probably will. But usually you can reappraise, and after the 24-month period of time, you can get it dropped as long as you can, as long as it does appraise high enough. Angela's question, what area of the course can I brush up on this technique? I'm not sure what you're asking, Angela. Are you referring to the MI, or are you referring to this specific presentation that we're talking about today? Okay, so this presentation, this is actually brand new, so we don't really have any videos that are centered around this specific presentation. However, we did record today's presentation, so later today I will be posting this one in our Coaching Call archive. So all you have to do is go to the mortgagecoach.com website, hover your mouse over Community, and choose Coaching Call Archive. And then you can see here we show all the Thursday training calls. So the last one we had was on 11/21. We covered MI strategies, rent versus own, simple refis. But each one I post, we put up here. So Fannie Mae import, you may not be aware that that's in there, but it is in fact in there now. And a quick tidbit for those of you still left on the call, I'll show you something that we kind of snuck in there for you. When you go to your settings now, you may have noticed that there is a button called Create Edge Widget. This is a new feature that allows you to create a widget to display on your web page. I'll show you what it looks like. I'm going to use Janice's account here. When you create it, it's going to load a page for you, and it's going to ask you for some parameters to put in. So you can choose whether you want to receive an email when an entry is received. This is going to create a form for you to put on your website. You can receive a text message, And you can actually even signify somebody else to receive a text message. You can choose what to show on the widget, and you can choose your text information that you'd like to display. Now, all you have to do at that point is take this code right here and pop it into your website. So if you are the one that manages your website, you already know how to do this because you've probably had to do it before. If you're not, send it to your IT guy. He can pop this onto your website, and it'll literally appear as a little tiny. Let me show you what it looks like. Let's update form options, and let's see if we can get you a sample of one. And there's one from Joe. You know what, I'm going to have to show you a little bit later one I did. I don't want to set it up on Genesis right now because it'll actually put it live. So let me get out of her account. But you guys can create a widget there, and actually there's a link that you can send to your borrower once you create your widget. So when they click on it, all they do is enter their very basic information, so first and last name, phone number, and it immediately pops over an Edge alert for you. So you'll get an alert that comes through RateWatch telling you that you've had a request from your widget, and you can immediately get right on it. But cool new feature. If you'd like a little bit more detail on how that's used, let us know over here in support, and we're happy to help. With that said, guys, well, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap the call today. You guys all have a wonderful day, and we'll look forward to talking to you all soon. Thank you much. Bye-bye.
The organizer has ended the session, and this call will be disconnected. Goodbye.